There is an end to it, intended by the Lord, but without perseverance, James says, you cannot see it. Let me read it again. There is an end to it, intended by the Lord, but without perseverance, James says, you cannot see it. Let me read his words. This is from the book of James, chapter 4, verse 11. You have heard of the perseverance of Job and seen the end intended by the Lord, that the Lord is very compassionate and merciful. When I read these words, I had to stop, think about Job, whatever happened with him, what he lost, what he gained, and I think overall what God had intended for him. And I realized that in our lives today, we find blessings as approval to continue. If we plan, if we start something and immediately we do not see the results, the blessings, we say it's not from God, I should stop it. But imagine if Joseph had thought of it that way. Imagine he had the dreams and he said, I'm going to go and tell my dreams to my brothers, my father, everyone. And if they approve it, I'll continue. If they do not approve it, that means maybe it's not from the Lord. Can you imagine? How about Moses? How about David? I'm going to go tell my brothers, my father, and everyone that I'm going to be a king because God said, I have anointed you as the king. But if they don't accept me, that means he was not from God. Paul, from Saul to Paul, running to Jerusalem and preaching, and then they wanted to stone him. He just had to run away. See, the way we understand things are different because that's how we want things to happen. Perhaps not the way God intended for things to happen. Because Jesus never thought that way. He spoke of a door that is narrow. He spoke of persecution, of tribulations, of not being accepted, set aside. Why? Because it's not what we see now. It's what God intended for us. Here's what I propose. We should find trials and difficulties as signs to continue. And keep blessings as the reasons why to continue. Doing things for the wrong reasons will never lead us to the end intended by God. But what is this end? What is it that God had in mind for Job? In his book, chapter 42, verse 12 says, Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. Did you hear that? God blessed his latter days more than his beginning. 2 words. Later or latter. See, the way we function is always thinking about later, right? What comes next? I want the blessings and all that stuff. And God says, no, I'm coming from the other side. I'm everywhere. And I'm telling you, relax. Doesn't matter what you're going through right now. Just remember that has end, which is God's double blessing, God's purpose, God's guidance, God's calling. That is the blessing of the latter days. Let's not rush. Let's enjoy. Let's trust God. And always remember, no matter what you're going through, God has intended something for you. And it is always to give you a greater blessing. This is not what I say. This is what He promises. Take ownership of that promise and leave today realizing and trusting that God has intended double blessing for me and you. Amen. Enjoy that relationship with God, and God bless you.